So this session is fairly open. If we get questions from the floor, we'd like to get the microphone to you. What's always useful to understand is who you are and where you come from, because then it means that we can engage a little bit more openly with you. I think initially I'd like to understand a quick straw poll here. As I said, Paul is from Barbour. Some of you might know them. How many people have a Barbour jacket? Okay, so it's about sort of 30%. I think understanding the product and the background, it's about the brand as I understand it. So I think sort of like what Paul hopefully will do today through the questions is that we can get a really good open discussion and understand the operational efficiency within the organisation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, how do you use your supply chain to drive growth?
It's an interesting one. Being a brand, it's been great sitting here today as a brand, because I've heard a lot of the talk about some of the challenges that people have got around trying to meet the need of the customer. As a brand who are primarily a wholesaler, we do a bit of retail and a little bit of e-coms. We don't tend to suffer with the same sort of challenges that a lot of the pure plays or larger multiples are suffering with. So we are very much about a brand. We're very much about the lifestyle brand representing quality, and then it's about servicing our key partners. So we have a really good on-time and full service. We try and support initiatives that are being driven by our key partners, and we use our supply chain to do that. And examples of that are we do lots of exclusives with lots of our key partners. We also do country-specific manufacturing. So where we operate in Asia, where we operate in the US, we will design and manufacture exclusively for those markets and to their uniqueness. So that allows us to be, and we are quite a small business. We're only, we're 160 million turnover, based in the UK, in the northeast of England. We're a tiny little brand, but so big volumes for us is a few hundred. Big volumes is a few thousand. So that allows us to be quite flexible in how we approach customer demand.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So I gather you're about 100 and something years old now. Not you personally, but
I feel 100 and something years old.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's about 130 years old.
Right. So in that time, probably the last 15 years has probably been major change in terms of customer expectations and demand. Would you say that?
Yeah.
So how do the corporate strategies fit in with how you're doing business and how they influence in terms of the operations?
Definitely the first 120 years were the easiest. Right. The last 20, and to put some perspective around that, 20 years ago we were a business who manufactured 6 styles of outerwear, and that year, it was around 20 years ago, the big breaking news for the range was not only are we going to make them in green, but we decided to make them in blue, which gave us a range of 12. That's fascinating stuff. And here we are now, twice a year, 1,300 products, 19 countries, 250 stores with Barbour across the door. That change has come so very, very quickly for us. And we're still playing catch up a little bit. We are still, we're certainly not early innovators. We're definitely not fast followers. We're probably interested observers, I guess is the best way to describe our way of approaching the market. And therefore, we're not driven by that need to be the best.
Right.
We try to work with the best, so our partners, both in terms of who we use for third-party support and who we work with in terms of our customers, are the best, absolutely. So what we do is try and make sure we allow them to do the good job they need to do. So strategically, they don't really differ. I'd like to say, the customer's at the centre of everything we do. Of course it is. We put the customer first. Of course we do. But alongside that, we put quality. We put the brand. We put the reputation of the business. We put our heritage. All of those things are equally as important to us. And therefore, we don't really have any conflict between doing the right thing and how strategically that fits as a business. Short-term planning for us would be 5 years. Long-term planning to us would be a generation. We're 8th generation family owned, so and we'll continue to do that. So we don't have short-term decision making driving what we do.
Okay, and the family that owns the organisation, are they keen to adopt new technologies, or are they very much like you're saying, that they want to follow and see what's best?
Yes is the answer, we do. So we have click and collect, we have tablet ordering in store, we have reserve and collect, we have defer your delivery to an alternate address, all the good stuff, all the things we've heard about today, we've adopted. But what we don't do is drive and lead that. We very much let the customer or our partners determine where we should go. So we won't go looking for problems to solve.
Right, okay. So how does Barbour get the balance right between customer, channel, and your markets?
Again, roll the clock back. Our traditional business was built on independent retailers. So we had an order book that opened twice a year. Customers would place forward orders. Everything would be ordered against a forward order, and when the stock arrived, it was delivered to the customer. Very, very easy model. Now that now represents less than 50% of our business. And the other 50% of our business is dealing with key partners. And those key partners have different requirements. They're very much more customer facing. Yeah. They're very much more about delivering that promise to the customer. And that has changed our model entirely. So we've moved from being a stock push model, where we provide stock to the customers at a point that it's available, to a stock pull. And what we've got now is our key partners pull the stock from us when they want it, based on sell-through and open to buy and all those good things.
And interesting, what markets are you now in?
In terms of products or in terms of geography?
Geography.
Geography, we're in 19 countries, so starting to grow strongly in Asia. We've got about a $50 million US business, got a strong European business, and our home market of the UK, of course, where we're very, very strong.
Right, okay. And in your organisation, I mean, does one size fit all? So when you're thinking about the process and the, we were listening to Walter earlier about the 5 Ps, and he talked about process and profitability, which I think resonate with a lot of organisations. Do you literally just take it and cookie cut it into different markets, different sectors?
It did when we only made 6 jackets. It doesn't now. And what we've had to find is we've moved the business into different territories. Asia, for example, is a key one. We have to do a lot of country-specific design to do well in that territory. The same in the US. We found that as we diversify our product collection in that country, we've had to move away. So, for example, footwear. We've got a really strong footwear business in the UK, outside of rubber footwear. But in the US, it's a completely different collection. The same with shirting. It's a completely different collection in the US to the UK. And we've had to do that because fit, style, design, interest to the customer is completely different in those territories.
So these are some of the challenges that you're dealing with.
Yeah. Now, again, we're still quite a small business, but we are able to do reasonably small-size production runs that allow us to do that. So we are comfortable to go to our manufacturers with relatively small-size production runs to allow us to give that flexibility in market. So no, we have a core range. Our core range is pretty consistent. If you reminisce about Barbour of 20 years ago, that is our core underlying business and still exists, that country lifestyle. But alongside that, there's a whole other part of Barbour that's now out there.
Which is the fastest growing market outside of the UK?
The US,
yeah,
by far the US. Yeah, we're tiny. At 50 million, we're just starting to scratch the surface. Okay. So, and a really strong brand. And it's interesting, it represents something different in the US. We have a really strong business down in Florida. How would a UK Northeast-based outerwear brand be strong in Florida? But it is, because the brand represents something different there to what it represents here. And alongside that, we're developing and building our Barbour International brand, which sits completely separate from Barbour, which is based around the motorcycle inspiration and our motorcycle wear that goes back to the 1930s. And again, new territories are very receptive to seeing that as part of the brand, whereas of course in the UK it's been a bit of a harder sell to get people to adopt that Barbour International as being part of the brand.
And is there any other range development to meet those markets?
No, what we in terms of category diversification.
Yes, yeah.
I think no is the answer to that, but the reason for that is we're quite selective. There's a danger that because you've got a strong brand and you've got a popular brand, you can put your brand name to anything. Well, we don't actually. There's lots of categories we could be in. There's lots of people that would like to work with us to help us do that, but I'm not sure that a Barbour bicycle is the way we want to go. I'm not sure that, Barbour whiskey is the way we want to go, or whatever it might be. So no, we tend to let the customer drive what works for us. And we do lots and lots of market research. We did some recently about what do customers feel comfortable putting Barbour to. And one of the things that was interesting is T-shirts is not something that the customer would want to see Barbour manufacturing. So we don't do a big range of Barbour T-shirts, for example.
Okay. And then when we're talking about these operational challenges, is everything still fulfilled from do you use any fulfillment partners or locations anywhere around the world?
For trade partners we do. So in the US we have a warehouse partner, a third-party logistics partner out there that services our trade customers. In Germany we have a third-party partner that does the warehousing for our trade customers there. But all of our European UK retail, all of our European UK online is serviced from South Shields in the northeast of England.
Okay.
We're about to launch in the US next year, and that will be serviced from the northeast of England.
So a US online order, would be fulfilled directly from
the UK, from the northeast of England.
Right, okay.
Two reasons for that. Sounds a little bit crazy. You know, we're talking about efficiency in delivery. We had around about 1.5 million hits to our non-transactional brand website in the US last year, which is phenomenal. What we don't know is what that demand was for.
Right.
And what we found is when we launched in Germany, the profile of the product that was being consumed by the customer wasn't the same as in our retail stores. And we have no data to tell us what that demand is likely to be. So while we build that knowledge, while we build that information, we're going to service from the UK where we've got control. We do have an omni view of stock. All of our stock is held in one area, and it allows us to be a bit more responsive. But initially for launch, we're going to service from the UK. And I think unlike, another thing that was interesting, and you hear about e-delivery and the importance of the customer's expectation, from the home brand site, the customer is not as sensitive around things like delivery times. They're not as sensitive around things like next day service as they are with partners who lead on that. So the pure play guys have got a real challenge on their hand because they have to keep up in their game. What we found is, and we launched next day in the UK and had a 2% pickup. So we, order Tuesday for delivery that week is a perfectly acceptable service. No, we don't. I mean, we have an order by 5 for next day service, but such a tiny tick-up. I don't think, a Barbour jacket doesn't tend to be a distressed purchase.
Right.
Therefore, we're not driven by that kind of demand. Black Friday for us, which was this huge wave of disruption that hits most retailers, was like a smooth wave lapping on the shore for us because we were a bit busy for a few hours. And that's because I guess we don't want to be the leading online retailer of our brand. We have some really good trade partners who are.
So you use those trade partners to really drive if the customer really wants that distressed purchase.
Yeah, and they offer a great experience for the customer.
Right.
And we've even got branded areas within some of our key partner sites.
And are returns an issue? I mean, if you're going to launch in the US, is that front of mind or?
Based on our experience from the German market, we aren't overly concerned. We do have because we have trade stock and a trade partner already in the US, we are able to deal with them locally, and that's one thing we've done in all the territories. In Germany, for example, returns are handled locally. Our customer service office is in Germany, and that's handled locally. We'll do the same in the US. And it'll be a local transaction in terms of bringing stock back. But no, we don't have high return rates.
So you don't have 50% returns like they do in Germany?
No, not even in Germany.
Right. Okay.
And I guess part of that is it's a considered purchase, and I think part of it is we don't have that I'll buy 3, pick the one that fits the best and send the other 2 back. We don't tend to have that type of customer.
Okay. So just a sort of last question, then I'll open it up if that's okay. But so what's on the horizon? What's nagging at the moment?
We are experiencing growth, so we're going out to get some more warehouse space. That's happening next year. We're launching into the US with a transactional website. In the next 4 or 5 years, there will be other transactional websites in other key European countries that we're working towards. Cross-border trading post-Europe is a bit of a concern. We've just bonded our US operation into an FTZ, so we can do cross-border trading there with no duty implication. We're about to bond our UK warehouse is a contingency, but we have strong partnerships in Europe, and the outfall of cross-border trading
Yes,
post-Brexit
yeah.
is a bit of a concern. Other than that, it's growth. You know, we're a good, strong brand that's growing and growing internationally,
Yes.
and it's on making sure we have in place good, solid supply chain infrastructure to support that. But I think the thing that keeps me up the most at night is, because I live in the northeast of England, I've been signed up to the Great North Run, and I think that's probably the most concerning thing at the moment.
Okay. Paul, thank you. Thank you for being so open.